So I'm going to go ahead and call to order strategic planning for Tuesday, April 19th at 6 p.m. Let the record show that all aldermen are present. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous committee meeting held Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Panis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. No unfinished business, but we have a new referral for consideration tonight. It's a presentation from Instant Input. So I'd like to welcome Instant Input, and I look forward to hearing all about Instant Input.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Zwalin. I'm the principal and owner of Highland Planning. We are a city planning consulting firm based in Rochester, New York. Our specialty is public engagement. So we were teamed with Mott McDonald on the North Union Street Transformation Project. We supported the public engagement, which seems like a long time ago now. But we're trained as city planners, but our focus is really how do we get stakeholders aware of what decisions are being made by governments, and how do we gather input for decision makers to consider for those processes. So parks, playgrounds, road reconstructions, long-range plans, housing policies. We've worked all over the nation. The majority of our work has been, though, in Western New York. And what I'm here to talk to you about today is a technology tool that we built over the pandemic and launched in April 2021. It's called Instant Input, and what I'd like to do is share with you what it is, what it does. I'd like to give you a demonstration of the tool and then hear any questions that you have. I've met with the mayor, I've met with Carrie Kerper, and I've met with Jason and Jerry from the IT group in the city thus far, and they've all agreed that they wanted to share this information with you. So that's why I'm here today. Okay, so the problems this technology is intended to solve. There's a story behind where this idea came from, and it's a personal story of me as a stakeholder in my city, in the city of Rochester. One day my neighborhood playground equipment was uninstalled, and my city put up a sign that said, "New playground coming soon," and I thought, oh my gosh, I did not know that this project was happening. I love that equipment, don't touch the Gaga pit. I had all sorts of opinions about, what should or shouldn't happen in my neighborhood playground. As a public engagement consultant, I understood it would have been hard for the city to understand that a 40-year-old woman 3.5 blocks away cared deeply about this public space. And it would have been expensive, time-consuming for the city to notify me, ask me what I thought. And I thought, I wish there was a way I could opt in and see what my city is working on. Like, I wish there was a map and there were pins on it, and I could click on the pin and see what is this project, where are we in the process, who's the decision maker, can I review the concepts, can I send a comment, can I answer a survey. I wish there was a way I could both receive information and provide information to decision makers. And so that's what we built, and you're seeing a screenshot of it up on the screen. We're intending to solve the problem of confusion. So over the course of my 20-year career as a planner, I have run into this over and over again where people say, I didn't know this was happening. Is this a done deal? We've gone through 9 months of a process to have someone come in the door at the 11th hour and say, wait, I didn't know about this. And I think there's confusion on the decision maker side too about who cares about this. Who are the stakeholders that care about this park, that care about this road reconstruction? And so we can spend a lot of time mapping stakeholders or finding stakeholders, and that's time consuming and expensive. Costly. I've used all the tools on the market for virtual public engagement, and the cost of those is the median price of a public engagement platform for one project runs around $2,500 to $5,000. So we set out from the start to really create an affordable solution for getting information to the public. I'll talk to you about cost, but just so that you're not thinking about that moving forward. The cost of a pin is $399 for a year, for one project, for 1 year on our platform. Other problems that we're aiming to solve. there's distrust. I don't know what my government is working on. Are you guys making decisions without me, or trying to decide things without my input or my awareness of what is going on? What are my tax dollars being used for? And then the flip side of that is apathy. I'm a mother. I have 3 pets and 2 children and a business and a martial arts habit. I do not have time to come to your Tuesday night at 6 p.m. meeting. So maybe it's better for me to just completely disengage and not be involved. If I can't be there in person, if I can't be part of the discussion, it's overwhelming to navigate, right? I mean, people around this table are plugged into what's happening, but that takes work. It takes effort to be aware. And then of course inaccessibility, and pandemic created another whole layer of inaccessibility that we just didn't even anticipate 2 years ago. So Instant Input is a native mobile app. It's both a free downloadable app for Android and iOS. There's also a companion website. And it's intended to be a consolidated platform where multiple agencies put information. So the county, the New York State Department of Transportation, the city, a utility company, a private developer, they would share information about what they're working on. If they want to share it with the public, or if they need public input, they would place it on this platform. And the intent is that as people come onto the platform, see and learn and interact, you have a stakeholder database that grows with you year after year. So I talked about $399 for one pin for one project. That's the base price, and I think you have a very capable team here. Carrie, I'm sure, could load information onto the back end of this tool. It's very simple and easy to use. There's about 4 things you need to do to put a pin on the map. But we also, as a full-service consulting agency focused on public engagement, we can also support the implementation of the tool. We can do it with you, or we can do it entirely for you. Why are we, what is our experience? Why are we capable of doing this? Well, we're trained as city planners. We have 20 years of public engagement experience all across the nation. Our mission is to create and develop and nurture partnerships that improve communities, and our vision is that stakeholder input is easy to provide, it's valued, and it's well documented. So this is a tool that fit closely with our vision for how we show up in a consulting service, and to making that easier. Here's our team. There's 8 of us right now. Our value proposition: we believe we can engage 3 times as many stakeholders as we see today in rooms, in meetings. My back of the envelope or gut check estimation of how many people are showing up in public meetings is about 1/10 of 1% of the population. And that's sort of, that's a guesstimate. It's not scientific at all, but, if 100 people come in the room, that's less than 1/10 of your population. It's a small amount of people, and I don't think 100% of people want to be involved with government decision making, but I think that 1/10% is too small, and we should be striving to make it easier in 2022 for more people to be involved or aware of what is happening. It's interesting in our focus groups with users. So we did focus groups with both prospective customers, municipalities, planners, engineers, decision makers, city managers, and also potential users. And what the users said was, it's not even the commenting that I want, it's the awareness of what is happening and where is it happening that is interesting about this tool. So it's less about submitting comments and more about being aware. And so you'll see on the back end, we're quantifying how many people look at a project, and that's a new metric, one that I've not counted as a consultant over the course of my career. I'm obsessed with how many people come to my public meeting. I'm obsessed with how many people answer my survey. But across the board, how many people are aware of this project after, sending an update? We don't have that number. We don't know how many people read our emails or look at the website or are aware. But with Instant Input, you can really quantify that number. And for you as decision makers, if you have 200 people that have looked at a project and 5 negative comments, that's information for you to consider as you're making the decision. People are aware, and we have these 5 people that perhaps are unhappy. Can we mitigate, can we address those comments and continue to move forward? Value proposition number 2, we can reduce staff time for project notifications. So you can send a notification that pushes right to people's phones if they're using the app, or onto the website, and say, there's a new survey, there's a public meeting on Tuesday, or there's a meeting summary or a concept drawing that we've posted. So you can push that out to people. And our calculation is that we can save $2,000 in labor per project. That's a public sector calculation of how long it takes to build a stakeholder database, how long it takes to send emails, how long it takes to send notifications. So current customers, we launched in April 2021. Our current customers, USA Niagara is an arm of Empire State Development in Niagara Falls. They're using it on 18 projects. Quite a few consultants, MRB Group, Labella, WSP, BFJ Planning. They are using it on comprehensive plans and downtown revitalization initiative projects that we're working on across the state. Niagara Falls Housing Authority just signed up. They're working on a neighborhood revitalization plan with multiple components of housing improvements and park and street renovations. Mohawk Valley Edge is an economic development agency in Rome, Utica area. They're using it for a brownfield opportunity area project. And then the city of Rochester just signed on verbally, and they'll be using it for 4 major capital improvement projects. What people are saying. So our experience in Geneva, New York on, I'm sorry, I didn't mention them, Geneva, New York, June 2021, they signed up for the implementation of a DRI streetscape during the construction phase of the project that was going to have, similar to North Union Street, a lot of impact on business owners. So they used instant input to share information about construction work that would be happening in the next week, so people could understand where there'd be lane closures, where there'd be utility disruptions. And Sage Gerling, the former city manager of Geneva, said it was an incredible tool. It reduced aggravation by business owners, and people really felt a sense of transparency about the project and excitement around what was happening, what was taking place. So I'd love to show you the front end by mirroring my phone through, I'm going to set up Zoom and mirror my phone, but generally this is what it looks like. There's project profiles, there's the profile view, there's the map view, and then you can dig in and there's a standard set of information for each project. The back end looks like this. It's where you load information, and there's this civic engagement table that shows you how many people have viewed the project, liked the project, or answered a survey. These are my last 2 slides. I'm curious what people are thinking, and in knowing what you are working on and in reviewing your budget. These are the projects that I saw coming up, or that might be potentially interesting to share with your community. But why don't I stop there and say, would you like me to do a drive-through? I didn't want to talk for too long. Or would you rather have a conversation now or ask me questions?
I'd like to see that in the fall.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine, if you'd like to do a drive-through.
Great. Interestingly enough, this is I've done all of these demos over Zoom. This is my first in-person demonstration to a group of people in 2 years. So I had to wrap my brain around how I was going to show you my phone with all of us in the room together. And what I figured out was that I could mirror my screen through Zoom. And it's just lagging a minute. I'm sorry, I couldn't set it up. I tried to set it up and run the PowerPoint, and it wasn't working. So give me 1 second. Any questions while I do this?
One of the ones I jotted down here, when you set it up and you get people that sign up to provide input or poll or any of that, how do you verify, or how do we know that they're legitimate stakeholders?
There's a 2-point verification process, so they sign up and then they have to confirm their email address, so it's going to their email address. They're sharing their zip code, so we can download and see a list of all the people, their name, their zip code, and their email address, and whether
Okay.
they've looked at a project, liked a project, or answered a survey. We can see all that data. And so if they're from Buffalo or Rochester, you can see that.
Okay.
There is a guest view also. One of the early concerns by public sector decision makers was we want to reduce barriers. So, let people come in and kick the tires and see what this is all about before they give you that email. So there is the option for a 7-day guest access, and where they're just entering their zip code. So you still get that information, but you just don't know who they are.
Okay.
Until
But it's
they
easy to get in there and go to a project, and if we want to know what are people saying, what are they feeling about this, we can sort it out and see where these are coming from.
Yes, and I can show you the back end if you're curious in seeing that too.
Mhm.
So this is the tool from my phone. I personally really like the map view, and that I think spatially. So here's where our activity is to date. I think Niagara Falls is an interesting case study. They've got 18 projects on the map. They wanted to highlight projects that they've completed that are already complete, to kind of take credit for look at this investment we made in USA Niagara, as well as things that they're working on right now. So they had a group of 18 to start with. I'm going to open one project profile, the Old Falls development site. It's kind of a dead retail space in the downtown. So you initially can see a couple images. There's also a conceptual design here. Okay, this is what they're thinking it's going to look like. When I open up the project profile, this client said, we want a pop-up to say there's an active survey so people know right away. I'm going to navigate away from that right now, and I'll show you how to get back to it. But initially, I see those images, I see whose project this is, I can read a project description. And then these project materials are the same for every project. So if there's a survey, I can go ahead and dive into that survey. It's very simple. Multiple choice, drag and drop prioritization. I'm just answering, these are all happen to be multiple choice, but here's another option of how many people in your group. Once I answer this survey, I can't access it again. So only one survey response per user. So I'm not gonna complete it. I'm just gonna back out of it so I can continue to access it. A decision statement is something that we baked into this tool that really aligns with our public engagement philosophy. And a decision statement is this could be shorter, but it's intended to be a short statement of who's deciding what and when. And I think that's an area where we could do a better job being clear with stakeholders about who's making the decision, what is the decision, when is the decision. So we baked that in an attempt to be more clear. Timeline and calendar, I should show you Geneva. They're using this really actively with every week. What are the construction updates going to be? But it's a record of everything that has happened in the project. If there's a public meeting or there's construction activity. And the timeline and calendar interacts with your Google Cal and iCal. So if there's a public meeting, you could add it to your calendar, set a reminder, and then, remember it. Project location is, this is really just a map, and if I zoom in here, I can see this is both the building and the parking lot to the north. And so you can upload a GIS file, you can drop a pin on an address. This is a Google map, so you can enter an address, or you can draw a geometric shape. Contact information is what you think it is. Document repository, as many documents as you want here. Background, meeting summaries, concepts, drawings, survey results, and then leave a comment. So even if there is not a survey open, I can leave a comment on a project, and it's gonna be categorized on the back end related to this Old Falls development site. There's no crosstalk, so I cannot see the mayor's comments, the mayor cannot see my comments. There's no crosstalk on purpose on this platform. This is intended to be a direct line of communication between decision makers and stakeholders. I can, however, share this project profile with my sister, my best friend, my work team, and say, hey, check this out. I could post that on social media and say, this project is out there, hey, everybody comment about it. I can turn on notifications so that I receive those push notifications. I can heart this project and like it, and sort of sort by only the projects that I care about and I like. So that is what every project profile looks like for the most part. That's the front end. And the back end, I showed you that.
Can I ask a question real
Yeah,
quick? It
please.
said when you were in there, it said no comments for this yet.
I have not left any comments for the Old Falls development site.
Okay.
And so on the back end,
So you only see your own.
correct.
You won't see like any other comment that any random person.
Correct. That's a record of my comments.
Got it.
And so I am,
Only the municipality sees all the comments.
yes, and I'm showing you the back end right now. And so Sage is the admin for this City of Geneva Streetscape project. There's 3 different settings. So you're not paying for the seat, you're paying for the project, and as many people as a decision maker, as a city decides to allow in the back end, you all could have view access, the staff could have admin or editing access. But if you wanted to look and see, okay, how many people care about this streetscape project? Oh, 184 people have looked at this, 50 people have liked it, and it's a construction project, so there has not been a survey, so that's not relevant in this case. But you could look at the comments, and I'm gonna tell you that there is a Russian comment here, or this word, I don't know what that is, but there's only been one comment on City of Geneva in a year, and it's been, thanks for this information, great job. So I can download a report here and see who all these 184 people are. It's a very simple CSV, comma separated value. This is a simple back end intended to be just forthright. And so any events, Sage has done a really good job, and I think they just fired up again, and there's some 2022 action here as well, but there's a whole record of what has happened in construction here. Any other comments? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's great. I wish we would have had it for, our 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because we had so many meetings with so many folks that we took comments from. This would have been so much more time, smart. But I think it's great. I think it gives you an idea if your plans are headed in the right direction. And I like the idea of being able to connect not just the city, but maybe something that the county's doing, that they kind of overlap. I think that's really important. And over the many, many years, I know the county has sent out surveys for different projects, for tourism, this and that, and very few people show up for their meetings, and I think this would reach, much further than just a locality, and I think that's important.
I know I like the fact that it was a good marketing tool, when you first started the interface part. You showed how Niagara Falls was using it to show the things that were already done, so you could highlight, Olean could use it for, this is a good spot to go to eat, or this is another restaurant that we have, things of that nature. And then, we've talked about, I know I've talked to a couple people about how do we broadcast what's going on in the city? How do we go about telling people? I know I do a Facebook post each week after our meeting to tell people what's going on. So I try to tell them about the projects in detail to let them know, and I get feedback a lot, and that's the other thing, you know, with this tool, you'll get the feedback, you'll know where they're from. A lot of times on Facebook, you know, the residents they used to live here, you know, so they're in Ohio and California and things of that nature, and they're commenting of what they like and dislike. But, you know, while that's all fine and dandy, we kind of want the input from those that are still here, you know, and that's the feedback that we're looking to see, that I'm looking to see. So I think those are some of the highlights of something like this that I think is a good idea.
Isn't it just peppered with negative, because I feel like something like this would be just like anytime the Times Herald does an article on a project that we wanna do, regardless if it's controversial or not, there's, you know, the peanut gallery that everybody has something negative to say. Anybody who has, you know, 2 seconds on the, you know, on their phone, they can bang out a negative message about anything we're trying to do with no investment whatsoever. Isn't this just an extension of that?
Well, the difference here is that no one's seeing it, so
Yeah.
they're not broadcasting, so they're not getting that attention from other commenters, or they're on Facebook or on a media site. And that has been a concern, and we have not seen that. And,
Okay.
and I've got this Wizard of Oz kind of capability on the back end where I can see everybody's project, and so I've looked, and it is not happening. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, something the city of Rochester said, you know, is Bruce gonna comment literally 40 times? Yes, Bruce might do that, but you're also creating more opportunity. You know, he's part of that 1/10 of the percent of the population who's already active, invested, showing up. You're creating opportunity for other people, for other voices, for people that don't have the time or the ability to show up. And again, I think what's really important is this views. So this was a transportation corridor project. You know, I think it's important to see, okay, 134 people know about this, and we have these 2 squeaky wheels. That for me, as a decision maker, that's important data.
But you know, the other thing, bouncing off what Paul just said, you know, and he's right, we have our
Yes.
peanut gallery.
Everywhere.
But I think if they don't get fed, you know, positive reinforcement from others, they kind of die out. And I think when people go on this, and if they really take the time to go on and look through and educate themselves, then they kind of buy into it to where they understand more. Where I think some people that, you know, are just naysayers about everything, they don't really understand because they didn't take the time to actually look at anything. They start out no and they end up no, and you're not gonna change them.
Well, and on a Facebook post, I don't know anything about this, so I'm gonna pretend like I have any idea, but, the more people comment, the more engagement,
Yes.
the more that, like, the algorithm bumps that up, and the more people see it, and the more it, like,
And
feeds
that's what
on
they
itself,
wanna
and that's, well, exactly, but then, you know, so-and-so makes a comment, and then, you know, 7 people like it, and then this person comments, and then it just turns into this whole thing, and that takes that all away. Lets them submit it without creating a frenzy.
And we're getting accurate information
Yeah.
from the start, right? We're not creating misinformation by posting opinions. The decision maker, whoever at the city is in charge of this project is responsible for posting information and has the most up-to-date information about what is true and accurate.
Go ahead, Sandy.
So, you know, I think actually that this would be helpful because one of the things that we've had is some of our constituents don't have access, they don't do Zoom and stuff, but they might have a smartphone that then they could, this looks like a very easy tool. And so some of the people who have said, you know, or maybe they sent us something and they said, well, you know, I don't do technology or something, but almost everybody has a smartphone now. And so they could feel like they have participation and stuff because I think it's a simple walkthrough that any of us, if somebody called up, we could say, hey, you know, here's how you use it. And maybe some of the people who have concerns, they don't come to the meeting, but they still have concerns, so maybe they go to Facebook or they write us emails and letters. could use this.
Well, the other thing is too, going along with Brennan, what you said, and Paul, you know, the Facebook warriors out there. And we would be able to tell they're from our local zip code.
Yep.
And not from outside of state or whatever, you're ruining my town, well, they've elected to move
Well,
away. you know.
And that's a good point, right? Like, we've had stuff posted recently on Facebook, and I guarantee you people, I mean, there's a paywall on those Times Herald website, Times Herald articles anyway, so I guarantee you half the people on there commenting, click on it, read the first 3 sentences, if they even get that far.
Right,
They read the headline and just start, you know, $700,000 for a bathroom, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
But
that's
it
literally,
wasn't 700,000,
that's
just
what I
everybody
believe.
know out there, it really wasn't 700,000.
both people watching can,
A
So-
word about computer access and versus
Yeah.
smartphone access. So 85% of Americans have smartphones. More people have smartphones than they have home computers. And these phones know where we are. This computer actually somehow knows where I am too, and because it zeroed in on where we are sitting today. But, you know, that helps people orient to what is going on around me. So if I'm visiting my mom, if I'm visiting my sister, I can see what's going on around, you know, where I work, where I live, where I spend my time.
Does it have to work through the app, or is there some way we could promote it through our new website and people could access through the web?
You could
If
create
they're on the website,
yeah, great question. What the city of Geneva did was place a deep link to the City of Geneva project on their website, so it leads people there. And I pulled up the user website. It's not as pretty as the app, the interface.
okay,
But we knew it was important to have a web-based interface as well that mirrored the app. So that's what you're looking at right now. So you could link here, or you could link to the App Store, or deep link right into the project.
okay.
And,
Yeah,
and
just-
we've been using QR codes a bunch too, and so you could put a sign up on a building with a QR code that lets people
Okay.
download the app and then go right
Yeah,
to the tool.
yeah, I'm just, things like this.
that's a big ask for around here.
Yeah.
Pop
Is
up.
it?
That's a huge ask.
Is it?
That'd be cool
I'm
for
just
the
being-
Wayfinder
Sure.
project.
Yeah,
or-
maybe
that
we're
would be a
5
good
years from
addition.
that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Maybe we're 5 years from that, but
No, I think
Maybe add a
that
little
people.
more.
it's working in Geneva.
It
Okay.
is, and we were actually on the expressway once, and it was like an ad, and it was on the back of a truck, and so I had I'm like, see if you can get that, and captured it on,
Yeah.
like, while we were driving, not me, but my daughter did,
Yeah.
right, because that would be wrong.
Sure.
But that would be great, this is so much easier to use the QR code than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, and everyone uses them. I was going to get PT, and my doctor just gave me the sheet and said, download this app and
Yeah.
it'll show you everything you have to do, and I'm like, okay, it was simple.
So can I be a bit of a,
Yeah.
I guess, devil's advocate,
Great.
right? So I noticed, I mean, although you're getting engagement, it seems like relatively small sample sizes. And is it because it's still relevant, relatively new technology?
Sure.
People just, and the other aspect of it too, is you said from the get-go, it takes effort. People have to be engaged, right? It takes effort to know what's going on in your local community. And sometimes you can lead a horse to water, right? You can give them, we heard for the longest time that we want to have you don't broadcast your meetings. You don't record your meetings. What are they hiding? The transparency issue, right? And so everything is live streamed. Everything goes out on YouTube, and I go and I see there's like 50 views on our videos, right? So we give all this technology, we spend money on it. It is there. I mean, I think it is it's good, but you still got to be engaged. You still got to want to use it, right? So we could spend the money for a tool like this, and don't people still have to ultimately care about downloading the app and putting their 2 cents in? And do you get meaningful? At what point do you get meaningful feedback and meaningful, relevant data than just like 100 views and a couple comments?
Yeah, so a few things there.
Yeah.
I think it is new, right? And so it would take a period of time to build a user base. I also think it would take activity on the map to make it worthwhile? Like, what is there? Is it one project? That might not be enough to interest me, but if you were consistently sharing information at a very low cost for you, and that would create a level of trust, a level of transparency on your side where you could create, this is the mechanism that we're using to collect comment. Do I think that 100% of the population, or even 90 or 80 or 70% of the population is gonna get engaged here? No. But is a tenth of 1% enough? In my opinion, it is abysmal, and we can do better, and we must do better. It's 2022, everybody has one of these, and while I can't make your Tuesday 6 p.m. meeting, and I might not watch this live stream, on my time, at 11 o'clock at night, instead of doom scrolling Instagram, I might check out and see what you're doing and leave a comment on my time, on my terms, in a 5-minute increment, or, so I believe that it is a useful way to go to people instead of asking them to come to us. And I believe in it passionately and am committed to it, but it will take time. And I think a leadership, it's a leadership decision, right? So about communicating and putting activity and accurate, up-to-date information on the tool. So there's other things that need to be at play, and as far as meaningful engagement, I think that will be interesting to see. So I don't know how many people are against the dog park, right? But if it's a group of people, are there other people who would come to the dog park with their dogs that would leave a comment through a medium like this, or view the project and be aware of it in a way that they are not today? And would that help you as a decision maker?
So I think that's important because for example, with the dog park, there was a Facebook survey, but we don't know how many of those people actually were in Olean, and here we could have said and been able to separate them out and say, here's how many people were interested, versus maybe somebody from Portville or somebody who lived in Ohio that used to live here. So I think that would be helpful.
The survey that was done required
Yeah.
addresses.
It was a city administered survey?
No.
It was, I administered the
You
survey.
administered it, great.
Through,
And we-
through SurveyMonkey,
Great.
yeah.
And so
It takes a lot of time.
It does take a lot of
It's
time,
not,
and I think the meaningful engagement, I mean, that, you bring up another great point. You get meaningful engagement when you ask the questions that you need answered to make the decisions that you're making. So, it may not be what material should we use for the road, but, you may wanna know, should we have an hour restriction on the dog park, or what kind of fencing, or, answer the questions that you need answered to make the right decision and make the project better.
And I think it's, and I understand what John's talking about, but I think the other thing to remember is, we decided to update our website. And I think if we're gonna add anything, we should add something that's useful. And Paul, you were here for all of North Union Street. Remember all those city meetings we had, we had people in? And this would be a better way of doing it, quite honestly, because I think, like when I'm sitting somewhere and I have to wait, that's when I get on my phone and check things, because I'm busy doing other things.
I think
And I think it's gonna be helpful to our new website to add something like this.
agree. I think you still need to have public meetings. It's not gonna take the place of public meetings. It's not gonna take the place of
If they show up.
stakeholder interviews or focus groups or other big projects of other engagement methods, but hopefully this is a way to engage more people.
Can I ask probably an also bird question, maybe you guys
Yes.
already know, but what's the fee for this?
It's $399 for one pin, so for a project for 1 year.
You were
What?
late.
You were late.
So per project that
problem.
we put a pin in on there.
Oh,
so
for
each
1
of
year.
those.
For 1
Yeah,
year.
$3.99
What's the
per
renewal
year.
on that?
Same.
So every year it's $3.90, so
Yeah.
even if it's the same project and it's uploaded, okay.
Let me throw something out there, Tanya. If we wanted to go with something like this, obviously we're a little city. Your technology is kind of new, and I'm looking for the win-win for both of us. So is there an ability, like, to get buy-in, so it's not this lonely map with one pin and then maybe a second one? Is there an ability to make a deal where, hey, we're gonna go with this, we can load up a a certain number of projects that either are done or ongoing for a small fee or just for signing on to get at that head start.
Yeah, we had been talking about an unlimited subscription for the cost of 15 projects, then it was unlimited, so beyond that. And I think it depends on the city size and the activity that you have, but I'm absolutely open to a conversation about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it makes sense, you know, there's always ways for both sides of
Yeah.
every deal to win.
And I would ask you, can you connect me with the county so I can have conversations with them about what they're working on, and then, that can make it more interesting for everyone.
We'd all like to know, don't we?
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you for that question.
okay.
And John, I wanted to throw in John's comment with the YouTube. When I checked it after he said that, there was four people viewing right now.
Live, right.
How many?
And one of them's him, one of them's,
Yeah, one of them is me. Not my phone.
Well, but I mean, that was more than showed up to the last
Yeah,
6 meetings.
Yeah.
and people
At
watch
least,
us
I mean,
But again,
you know,
Tuesday at 6
a day
p.m.
a week.
I mean, I get, you
At
know, there's,
least now, we have a way of tracking how many are watching, whereas when we were doing it with the TV, we had no
Right.
idea at all there.
But the users go up throughout the week. You know, when you
People
go
don't
check
watch
it,
tonight,
do.
they watch
Yeah,
tomorrow.
they watch
Can you
later
tell
on.
who's
Over the
watching?
Because you
weekend.
repost the link and I repost the link.
Can you tell
Yeah.
who's watching or just how
I
many?
don't know.
You
No,
can
you
see
don't.
what country they're from.
Just the country.
What country and city, that's it.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. May I send you a follow-up email?
Sure.
sure.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. I will just take a minute to power off.
Thank you so much for your time.
I will be quiet leaving so you can continue to move on. Thank you so much.
We have no committee reports. I'll make a motion to adjourn strategic planning. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Seconded is Alderman Witt. All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried. Linda, you wanna hold off on yours since I think it's gonna be longer?
Oh, I go right through it, so you do whatever you want. Finance is gonna be real short.
finance
No, it's
capital
not.
project.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking finance bills, never mind.
So why don't we, it's up to you, I don't mind. I do wanna go over the CRB, so that'll be a lot longer, I don't know if you wanna do your parks or if you wanna do.
It'll take
Well, we've had someone here for capital projects if we wanted to.
Fine. We don't have to do like finish capital projects too. We can
Sure.
talk to Tim and just call it a night.
We can do some, certainly.
Change one of your numbers.
Tim, take
That's
your
what-
time.
The concrete repairs. Yes, Mayor. I just thought you should know.
That's yours?
No, that's yours.
I don't mind, whatever.
Since we're used to doing finance first to, get someone out of here.
Right,
Not
I don't-
anymore, but.
okay, then I'll start, finance and we'll jump into capital projects and just at least start them tonight. So let the record show all members are present for finance committee. Approval of the previous meeting minutes of April 5th, 2022. I'll make a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, finance and bills, did anybody have any questions on the finance and bills that you were sent by Lens? Okay, I just had one. Do you have one? That's
Go
okay.
ahead while I'm trying to think, because I looked at them.
That's okay. Mine's on page 4, and it was community development, it was a survey at Berry and East State. I think that's where the house went down. Are we looking at doing a parking lot or adding on? What was the survey for?
This survey was to know exactly the house, where our property lines were for the, senior center and the lot that we own over there.
Okay, I just
Okay.
looked at that, and I thought maybe there was some
There was a
plans
thought
going.
of possibly doing a extension on the senior center, but the lot is not buildable. So that's what we needed to know, so
Yeah.
now we'll go with a different plan,
Okay,
so, but,
good.
so.
That was my only question.
I remember I figured it out on my own. Yeah, so I'm
What's your
good.
question?
Nope, I'm good, I figured it out.
Okay. Any other questions on finance and bills? Nope, we're good to go. Okay, unfinished business, I don't think we have any, except for capital projects. Referrals for consideration is capital projects tonight, and we'll start with Chief Richardson.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to update you, two things. What we did was, I understand that we can only do one of the two projects, whether it's the parapet on Fire Station 1 or the concrete repair at both stations. Each year we do a safety evaluation. I have each captain and each lieutenant kind of go through, walk around, figure out what our greatest risks are in injuries, and evaluating both projects. Phase 1 of the masonry project at Fire Station 1 basically rendered that safe. It took down the loose pointing material, the loose bricks, so it rendered that project safe. So phase 2, while eventually it needs to be done, at this point in time, I feel that the concrete repair is more imperative for public safety and firefighter safety. Also, the city engineers and I got together, got the exact of what was there, what exactly needed replaced, and we come up with both, as it stands right now with the prices that are in play, it come down 15,000, so 60,000 will get what we need done at both stations.
Chief, I don't want to be sarcastic, but who are the city engineers?
Or our city engineers.
Who are they?
That's Dave Crandall and Ally
Retson.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're all done.
Yeah.
How long
And
has
that takes
Dave
into
been
account
here?
what,
Dave
remember
Crandall.
Linda asked, apparently some concrete was gonna get replaced
It
by the
takes-
streetscape.
Everything everything from the sidewalk to the station is repaired. Everything forward is good.
Okay.
Can I? So I appreciate that, Chief, thank you.
Yep.
For putting that forward. You know, I sent out an email, and this isn't obviously the time or place to have that discussion, I'm not looking to go down that rabbit hole. But considering we have 2 aging fire stations, I guess I'm still, I sent out an email a while back and no one responded, but I still would love to have the conversation about the feasibility of maintaining 2 fire stations indefinitely for the rest of Olean's future. And I understand the logic years back when we had trains, okay, but I don't even know the last time I've seen a train that lasted more than 3 minutes. And, you know, Fire Station 1 is, now correct me if I'm wrong, Fire Station 1 is the one over by the post office,
Correct.
okay? How old is that building?
I believe
It's old.
it's early 1900s,
Right.
if not late 1800s.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, again, just from a maintenance standpoint, is it not within the realm of possibilities to consolidate? And even if we have to invest more, another addition, other options to the large fire, central fire, you know, going down the road, it just, one building's cheaper to take care of than 2 buildings. And so,
To be brutally honest, or not brutally honest, but foreshadowing strategic planning wise, I would say it's in your best interest that while the comprehensive development plan is being initiated, now would be the time to put that plan along with doing a station survey and doing, you know, where your anticipated growth is, because you don't wanna, let's say you set a station here, right, and then all of a sudden you wanna focus your development down here. Now 25 years down the road, we're having the exact same discussion of saying, well, geez, that was dumb to build that there, we focused all our growth and initiative down here, and now this population is grossly underserved. And, you know, when you talk ratings and stuff like that
Sure.
that are coming up, and those, I'm waiting until probably mid-May to announce, but we did very well on our ISO rating. And so, I mean, those ratings are based on response time data and our capabilities, and I think as we jump into the comprehensive development plan, I would certainly welcome that, because I just don't, I mean, I like to make decisions on the best information I have, not tradition,
sure.
you know.
And again, I don't expect any of us to have the data or the information here tonight, I don't wanna go down that rabbit hole, but I personally think that's something that is worthwhile
Yeah.
having.
Yeah, I mean, even if in the future, you know, we get back to building and getting bigger, I mean, that building's old, it's small, right?
Mhm.
What do you have, 2 vehicles in there? How many
Well, they
vehicles?
ain't building fire trucks any smaller, I can tell you that.
Right.
If you see
So, I
what
mean,
goes
even-
around town, it's,
Even if I figure we end up in the development phase and we need that much, we need a better, station than that
Right.
1900 station.
And the other thing is the key in on the station surveys, those things like that, a lot of your station grants are based on shovel-ready projects. So if you don't have the feasibility study done, if you don't have architectural drawn plans, everything ready to go, you're gonna miss out. I mean, and they're ultra-competitive grants because they don't issue them a lot of times, and it's tough for us. I mean, down south, they're building stations faster than they can house, they can fill them,
And now this isn't anything to, against you or your guys, but I know, if we propose that station gets pulled back or we consolidate to Station 1, people are gonna say that, we're not gonna save their life because of the minutes that get knocked off. But I'm curious how, private vendors like, Trans Am factors into these numbers we look at and that you look at. I mean, when you talk about the survey or whatever, does the fact that Trans Am exists in the city affect your numbers, or is that solely on our fire department?
Oh, no, the ratings you're talking about, that's based on fire suppression rating index,
Okay,
is what that's
nothing
called.
about
Public
EMS.
protection class is what
Okay.
we're after.
Yes.
And I can have a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
You're in my wheelhouse now. I like discussing it because it's something, when we start delving off into that rating, I'll have stuff for you folks that will show the improvements in what we have in the city as far as fire capability.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive.
Chief, I don't know if you ever saw it, but I think it was back, I think when Dave Carucci was mayor. They did a plan to centralize the fire station. I think it was gonna be over here, and it would
Yep.
eliminate the two. And so they did work out a plan, so that over the years, they have looked into doing things differently. It's just always kind of fallen by the side because of
Right.
funding or
Well,
whatever.
and to be honest with you, those station surveys they're not cheap, but
No.
I mean, decisions that need to be made, please just do me the favor, do it based off research, not off opinion.
Right.
Because that will get you down the road. I mean, it will, because it's, you're moving basically chess pieces. And if you have something stuck right here, now it costs money to either, or you're behind the 8 ball in public safety, and that's,
Right.
I'm not a big fear mongering person, so I'm not gonna sit here and do that stuff, but, it's research. I mean, that's, I'm a statistics guy.
So I mean, do you, as far as, just to get your opinion then, because you watch numbers, you know your business. When it comes, should we be blowing numbers like this to repair that station, or should we start looking at other options? Right, cause this, let's say we blew 63 grand
Right.
on that old building just
And
to
then-
make that cornice safe, right?
Right.
That's a lot of money towards something. But
And that would be where a state, do I feel that 2 stations are needed in the city? I do. Now, does it need to be relocated? Does it need to be relocated somewhere down toward, and I'm spitballing, somewhere down towards, 12th and State, or somewhere down where your commercial development is because those are your high value, your high hazard targets, those things. You always wanna stay near your industry and your commercial. That's your high value in your city. And that's where response times matter quicker, or getting there quicker really helps. And that's where I think something like that I would welcome. Just to see if we're providing the best, how we can provide the best out there and most
So do you
efficient.
see that building just continuing to have big numbers pop up to keep it together like that?
It's
So I
an
mean,
old building.
yeah, okay.
I guess what I don't understand is how would we find out for sure, like, there's gotta be a way to get the data out there that says, is this notion that we need 2 fire stations, 1 on either side of the tracks, because of trains could delay response, is that a real thing? I mean, I know, I guess to a person who's not heavily engaged in firefighting policy, is that a real thing? I mean, it seems like it's one of those, well, it's always been that way, so that's why we do it that way. You know what I mean? And is there actual data out there or information out there that says that's relevant? I mean,
Sure. And some of the data, particularly as you get more and more advanced with dispatching, like we talked tonight with the pins, you can pin every call we have in the city and see where exactly, where everything is, where our volume is, what type of call, and we can start to dumb that down where, you can put it on a GIS map and show where your concentrations and your clusters are. And I mean, even right now, we can tell you the differentiation of all of our calls, day versus night shift. And it comes out year after year, it's like 51%, 49%. It's wild, like I wouldn't imagine. You would think some of your peak volumes during the day with your clinics and everything open, but it's not. It's pretty much evenly spaced. You know, fires are more at night. You know, that's generally, you know, in the overnight hours, but, those are definitely
mentioned the-
interesting data.
Surveys being expensive, what kind of,
That I would
what
have
kind
to
of
look
money are we
into.
talking?
We did one, or the city did one several years ago called the Jaeger study, and it was, I believe it was, I wanna say maybe the mid-80s, early 90s that it was done. And back then, they actually recommended 3 stations. One at King Street in East State, one down at 12th and State, and one at Central, was where they recommended it. But, you know, to go on how their methodology of how they did the study and stuff, I wouldn't know. But if that's something we're heading down, I'd sincerely be interested in helping the process.
Back when Chief Gibbons was here, talking several years ago, maybe, probably not what it is.
Yeah.
Response time anywhere in the city was 3 to 5 minutes. Is that still the same?
Oh yeah, we can get a rig, and it depends, based on your traffic volume. We all know, we all drive the streets, the traffic is heavy, and it takes us a while to get certain places, and that's where Station 1, for example, comes in. You know, it does take us a little bit longer to get down North Union Street, and then now you have the engine and the ambulance that come out of Station 1, they don't have to go through the downtown area, they shoot right out State Street. You know, and then usually out of Central, a lot of times our rigs, if they're going down West Olean, they're gonna go Wayne to 12th, and then 12th to West State and head west out that way.
Tim, is Front Street still the issue with the underpass?
With the ladder truck, yes.
With the ladder truck?
Yeah, that would be an expensive
That's
mistake.
always been the issue.
Yeah.
I have a question. When the casino went in at Salamanca, did they, I know they had to get a different ladder truck because there's multiple stories down there. Did they upgrade or do anything different to their fire station?
No,
So they kept
not
it
that I
the
know of, I can't
They just
speak
got a
for
different
Salmaker,
truck.
but, yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, yep.
I just wanna add one fact, and I just Googled it to make sure I had my number right. I checked this number before. My old neighborhood that I grew up in, my community, had 42,000 people, and just my neighborhood, Olean only has 13, we had 1 fire station. So, it's just, the concept that Alderman Gonzalez brought up, of having one on each side of town, kind of, it makes me think that if those buildings were put there back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that was because the population back then supported it, you know, and now, that's not the case now, so that's just something I want to throw out there, because I know this wasn't supposed to turn into a.
And it's a good point to continue that too, though. I think the notion of potentially reducing the fire station footprint from 2 to 1 shouldn't also come with the requirement that we spend $10 million on a brand new one.
Sure.
Right,
Right.
right,
Right, like,
right,
it's not a pole barn, that's gonna
Right.
be ridiculous.
yeah.
You know, my big concern is that number's a pretty big number for some maintenance to a.
Put money into
Yeah.
something you're not gonna see.
You know, and then
Yeah.
2 years later, the back wall falls off because it's 100 years old.
Well, but Jason,
You
to
know,
your
how many
point,
years do we put $100 grand into it?
we just put a couple $100,000 into the pool, and now we're gonna get it eliminated. So we spend money and then we change plans and.
We put a
Right,
couple
that's why I'm
$100,000
talking
into
about it, because I wanna try and
Yeah, you have to
foreshadow
fill it up.
it and not do the same
And level
thing.
it out, yeah.
Yeah, like
No,
North
I
Union
just see
Street
your
too.
point.
It was more than a couple $100,000 in the pool, it was,
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was a little over 300,000.
They had to reinforce walls and when they filled it to bring it up from the, what was it, 10 feet or 6 feet, whatever. That was one of the reasons we took the diving board away, but it also helped secure the pool. And we did put a ton of money into it
Yeah,
just a few years ago.
Yeah, the kids' pool was totally rebuilt,
Yep.
and we raised it from, I wanna say 12 feet to 5 feet.
Yep.
And so there was a substantial amount of money put into that pool, yes.
So I would say in terms of looking at this, I mean, the 60,000, we're not gonna do anything, even if we did the research and stuff, we're talking years down the line before we would be able to do anything with consolidation by the time we did reviews and site reviews and stuff. So it would seem that, at least in the short term, the 60,000 for the concrete is a public safety issue.
Right, so a lot of it's
That
sidewalks.
we, you know, that probably we can't get much away from. I mean, we're not looking to invest a ton more in the structure of a building that was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, but the concrete work to keep the public safe, and, I mean, we have to put something in there to kind of manage that, it sounds like.
Yeah, yes.
How long do you think we can put off that phase two business at that station?
What I'll do is I'll talk to the structural engineer, and then I can get that back to you, just to see what's there and things like that.
Cause I mean, if that's safe for, say, 2 years, then at least we have some time to determine.
Well, correct.
You know, do we look at that whole building, get a more comprehensive repair to it? Or go down the road?
Yeah, and anytime, the door's always open. Anytime anybody wants to come down and look at that station, I'd be more than happy to have you come in and see what you're
Oh,
looking
I think it's a cool place, I'd love to see
It
it,
is.
but, I mean, right, I'm not the guy to look at it and determine how long it should last and what it costs to fix it.
Well, the interesting thing with the North Union Street project, I see where they've been marking sidewalks. And it's funny because they'll mark some and then you go past another business and some really bad ones aren't marked. And I see there's none marked as far as he is, and I don't think they've gotten that far, but I don't know. Do you know where they're at?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But I do know they're out there marking them, because I've
So,
seen them.
did we determine that was not part of the project?
I don't think,
Everything from the sidewalk towards North Union Street is
Gotcha.
good. Yep.
yeah.
I checked in, we
This
all
goes
looked at it and it's
Into
good.
the drive. into
Correct,
the
this would
driveway.
be, I think it's, yeah, it'd be 2 panels, each 3 bays, and then the concrete tucked in, the sidewalk that needs fixed, and then there's a single slab out in the rear aprons. And those are what we included. We got the tape measures out, did everything like that, and that's where we got.
Yeah, so that's been determined.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions on the fire? Do you have any other capital projects?
No, that's
Well,
all.
then you're done.
Sorry to fire up the conversation,
No,
but
no,
I'll
it's good to
sincerely start
have.
working on it, and it'll take me some time, but I can.
I mean, you know, the only thing, right, Chief, is like, if we're gonna consistently be putting in, you know, not to mention your typical maintenance costs, right, and operating costs. But $50,000 per station, $100,000 in annual repair costs or more, at some point, you can find some sort of balance between taking out a bonding for a 20-year fire station that's $5 million, or adding on $1 million to the central station and doing a complete overhaul of that, and what the bond, you know, there's a cost savings to, sometimes to.
Yeah, you don't wanna be pouring water in buckets that got holes.
Right, right, and, you know, we're just throwing out numbers, but it's at least worth exploring that. And maybe this summer when things, you know, we're kinda slow down a little bit, maybe we can try to set up some meetings and have further this, conversation.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, and I would encourage, I've been there to the stations, but if anybody else hasn't, you should go and just check them out. And, we were walking the other day and I noticed the sidewalks, and it is where you drive out, it's all cracked and
Yeah.
broken up.
Yep, and those are gonna be they're gonna pour the thicker sidewalks to handle obviously the bigger trucks,
Right.
so.
Is that, I mean, did that come all of a sudden? Did it seem like it was related to redesigning the street there?
No, it's been.
No, it's
years.
just been a slow.
Just a lot.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Lens, are you going to just kind of go through, or are we gonna market things, how are we gonna do this? And we don't have to do all this tonight, so, just so everyone's aware of that.
Let's try to keep this relatively brief, though, we got a bunch of other stuff to do too, and I'm turning into a pumpkin here soon.
I can go and get you a Pepsi.
Well, I don't think we need to do another 3-hour marathon.
No,
Well, we could make this relatively short. I mean, we've been talking about it, but, based on conversation, when you talked about carving out the, I'll give like the auditor's office, the desk, the clerk's office, the desk, okay, and the ice edger. You know, we would like to be able to use the remaining, current budget's contingency fund is 17,000 left there. And, Len, you got a price on the auditor's desk and the other ones?
What's an ice edger? What
That
it?
was for, that goes around where they, it's a machine right now. The one we have right now is gas driven over at the recreation center. That, as they play on the ice, along the boards, okay, ice builds up. So this goes along and edges that. And the one that Chris wants to get is a little over $7,000. We cut that from the budget to get the 120, and that would be a electric, and it would be no longer the gas, and that's cut down the carbon, you know, in the recreation center.
Okay.
So Lens, do you have any numbers on those other desks? So it's just
Like 38, close to $4 grand.
for desks?
Sorry?
How many desks
No,
are you talking
No,
to?
in the auditor's office, there would be three
That's
desks,
3 desks.
Okay.
and in the clerk's office, there would be 3 desks.
Okay,
Yeah, that's close to $4 grand each.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes more sense. I was.
No, not just one, no.
desk. I was, one desk.
really good desk.
So I know that one was for sure $7,000 up here. For the ice edger.
So that's about 11,000 right
Three,
there.
3, and 7, so 6 plus 7, 13, 14, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Those three?
we would like to, put in a resolution for next Tuesday night to, take that money out of the existing the remaining contingency fund.
Mhm.
Okay.
Everybody comfortable with that? Okay.
And then we can
This one.
talk about all this, you know, as we continue to move forward, so.
Well, I mean, Bill, since we have discussed it here tonight, let's just go ahead and finish up the fire station then. So I mean,
Okay.
we're holding off on phase 2 then, right? For the mason repair? And we're going with the concrete repair for both stations, $60,000. Where are we suggesting that comes out of?
We would suggest that comes out of the fund balance.
Okay.
And that's over on this board here.
We have 369,000 left in there.
Okay. 309 now. Okay.
Which balance are we talking about?
Where?
General
Down
fund.
here.
Maybe down at the bottom.
Okay, oh, chair, yep, got it.
Because we had 675, we took out 306, Oak Hill.
Okay.
So
So
you
what,
wanna,
he didn't mention these other two, what's the status of the generator and this HVAC business?
That's still, we're gonna rebid the HVAC, so once we get that, the bid, then we'll have to come back to you, because we only have, what was in that, Len's, 50,000? There's 50,000 in that
50,000.
capital one now, so we'll have to come back to you. And what is the pad for the concrete pad for the generator,
The generator, yeah.
that shouldn't be too much, we can probably handle that with the new budget.
now could we take any of these items from the ARPA money?
I
Since
think
it's
the
a
HVAC,
one-time.
I think the HVAC can be
Okay.
down there, and, I think the HVAC can be taken out of the ARPA funds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, was there a NYSERDA or some sort of New York State program to help buy municipalities HVAC upgrades?
Well, yes, I think I know what you're doing. We're still waiting on the company that we signed on with to do the studies,
Okay.
okay? So, that was, what did Brad call it? I can't remember what that is. There's a study for that.
Okay.
And we're waiting to get the finalization on that, and that's a good, now that having said that, maybe we need to, but there again, we don't have to fund we don't have to fund the HVAC tonight, 'cause we're gonna rebid that, but that might be, under that program, we might be able to get, some things done there. And they would, it's something about, they will guarantee the savings, and if it's not met, there's something with that, I'd have to have Brad.
Okay, but that's not something for,
No, that's,
okay.
yeah, the HVAC, we gotta rebid it, so we can talk about that when the bids come back in on that.
Mayor, do you remember what the previous bid was when we put that 50K aside?
Yeah, it was, the bids came at it at $130,000 or something like that. But there was only 130, it was a high bid, there was only one bidder. So the idea with rebidding is that we'll get some local, like Mazza's, and there's another local company that we can get to possibly bid on it. So there was only the one bidder, it was a high bid, so we think we could rebid it and get a better price.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys wanna do tonight, or you wanna hold off?
Do we wanna agree to fund the concrete then and just put in a PL to move that out of fund balance?
Yeah, that one sounds like.
We've already,
Just
let's,
With that,
let's,
Yeah.
let's check it
I think we're all on the same page.
and let's pull it out of the, what we have to work with.
Alright, I've got the two,
Two resolutions.
yep,
Okay.
yep,
You got those two?
yeah, you can take a little down.
That ice sensor, could that be used from the ARPA funds or not?
I don't think so.
And then, Len, you wanna subtract 60,000 from that, please, for, the fire concrete repairs? So we know what our active number is. So it's 309, okay.
So the total comes out to, I just can't see.
60,000 worth of concrete repair, and there's 309 left.
Okay, I just couldn't see
Fund
through the
balance
chair.
that we have to play with.
Okay, so we're gonna stop there tonight, and we'll continue next time. And any other questions? Okay, so I'll make a motion to come out of finance and adjourn.
Hold on one second, I have
Sorry.
something,
You gotta do this. Wait.
do you wanna bring
We're
that
gonna
up?
tap the table or something.
What's that?
You wanna bring that up?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, never
What
mind.
bad news is this, Lance?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
You gotta vote on the rates again.
We
Oh, you already know.
clear up the-
Unfortunately, there's always a clerical.
Always a damn.
Well, let's see.
This is still, he does.
This wasn't this clear.
The reason why that keep happening, I spoke with Greg earlier. It looks like we have stuff that coming from houses, like your STAR program and military exemptions. Those fall at some point and something added to it. If one of those changing, then the assess value of the property goes up and goes down. So that's that's what that one is for. It's only changed by 8 cents from what we had in the budget. It doesn't affect the tax cap at all. It just changed the tax rate at the bottom.
Is there a way that we don't have to deal with this every year? Is there not a way
Yeah.
to improve this?
Yes,
There is.
I will get in touch with Greg at close to budget time, before we vote on the budget. I'm gonna get with him that week to make sure that number doesn't change. Because I think.
Next year?
Yeah, next year. I think he told me the last number he got was mid-March. So,
there just needs to be communication between his office and your
Yeah.
office.
Right.
because he gave me 3 different numbers. The first one was as I started the budget process, he gave me one. And right through the middle of the process, he gave me another one.
What is it, the assessed values?
Yeah, the assessed value of
Yeah.
properties. And then there was one that came down just before we voted on the budget.
Because of the military or
The
senior exemptions.
senior exemption, military exemption, those sometimes get added, sometimes get come off from the properties.
Okay,
So,
So what does this,
that's
what does this
reasonable.
mean for us?
Well, we'll have to do we'll have to do just a resolution.
Just one on the
Next.
rate,
Yeah.
because it was 1546 for the rate, now it's gonna be 1554. But that doesn't,
46 per thousand, now it's 1554 per thousand.
it doesn't change the fact that the cap stays the same as the percent.
That wasn't so bad.
Well, I wanted Greg to come here to talk with you about it, but he didn't want to.
I can see Dave's teeth.
Well, I just,
That 8 cents, Scott.
Because I think last year you asked him that question, is that gonna happen again? He said no, so,
Well, I can see it happening every year because people don't do it till they retire.
yeah, that is true.
People move. If you sell your house, you go to a different house, even locally, your assessed value changes, so that can happen every year.
But if I understand correctly from what he told me, by end of March,
You should
we
know by
should,
then.
we should know by now.
Right.
And then we voted on the 15th.
We have to be more diligent on our end to get, you know,
Catch 'em.
instead of working 2 weeks ago, we need to commit work today, what it is, and have the right rate there, so.
I agree.
so I
it's,
mean, yeah.
Okay.
I take full blame for it. We should have got together and got this identified, so.
Under the bus you go, Bill.
Yeah.
Should I get the big bucks?
Hey, Lens, is that
One's don't
all
like
you have?
passing the buck,
That's,
man.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Get big shoulders.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anybody else?
Jason.
Candace, all in favor? Okay, now which one do you want next?
All right, I'll go, and then we'll take turns here. Okay, and I don't know, I apologize, I really don't understand why what I sent out to you guys earlier did not contain all of the changes. I can see it on my computer, but it did not go into, so I'm gonna actually just pass this out. I'm gonna run through it quickly with everyone. Here, Tiffany, this has changes in it that you can keep that one. Okay, that has copies, or,
Is there a bathroom down there?
at the end of the hall,
Is there just
Yes.
one?
Is there a
way at the end of the hall.
It's unlocked.
Sean, did you see what I sent to you?
Go
for
through
the-
the,
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
go through the last door,
I thought it was
just
thicker.
there to your
Yeah,
right,
because
you
I
see the
only
hallway.
got 5 pages
Okay,
when
and
I
it's
did
right
it,
there.
because I looked at it, reviewed it.
I don't know why it didn't
Yeah.
print correctly, or save correctly. It's weird.
Oh,
Yeah, I
the
didn't-
change
I
track,
didn't see any of the blue.
untracked the changes, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
You see how all this stuff in blue?
Really weird.
That's how like my changes work.
Yep,
It puts my changes in blue for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
this didn't come over.
I don't know why it didn't do that.
Yeah,
Did the mayor get a copy?
Which,
and there weren't that many
this,
changes.
This, no.
And then Paul, send it
I
around
think
to
that's
us.
two.
does David get one?
They are.
And Dave needs one and Paul needs one.
Yeah.
I didn't get one.
Oh, sorry.
Good one.
Wait,
No,
okay.
no, it's coming.
Yes,
I-
Oh,
Yeah, there's still more copies.
Yeah.
There's 2 more.
Dave needs.
Who needs it?
Yeah, they'll be right back.
Dave.
We got one here for Dave, anybody else?
I got
We
one.
have a-
I'm gonna,
So what, I guess, John, what I wanna ask
Yep.
is, these changes seem to reflect the last conversation you and Vernon
Yes.
and I had.
yes,
Um,
yes.
other than our conversation, what's different?
Nothing, that reflects our
Yes,
changes.
Okay.
I just, I did that earlier and I emailed it out, but my changes, those changes didn't come into the email or didn't save into the file for whatever reason. So I printed it out for everybody. I'll work with Tiffany on getting everyone an actual electronic copy of this. Keep in mind that I mean, I don't know how you guys wanna do it. If it's easier for us to go through it, I just assume we just go through it right now and save your, all your comments for the end. But we need to get to circle back on this, and we need to finish this up. So what I handed out to everyone includes, after we've heard from the labor attorney again, and Jason and Vernon and myself met again, and are trying to simplify this the creation of a civilian review board. And afterwards, we can talk a little bit about, the mayor sent a recent case, that was, Schenectady?
Geneva.
Geneva. And hopefully how the proposal of the civilian review board here in Olean, how that hopefully differs. So anyways, let's just go through the CRB proposal. The Common Council finds it in the best interest of the city of Olean citizens. There be established a civilian review board with the authority to review police department management of citizen complaints concerning misconduct by officers and employees of the city police department. As a means of increased civilian transparency and oversight, the Civilian Review Board, or CRB, is hereby established as a body composed solely of members of the public with the power to review complaints of police misconduct or excessive force as provided in this law. The intent of this legislation is that the CRB will act as a community liaison to foster positive communication between the public and the Olean Police Department. So this Part B is establishing the CRB, by this chapter notwithstanding the sole authority. The sole authority to discipline officers shall remain vested in the chief of police and or his or her delegates under the supervision of the mayor under section 2.025 of the city charter or amendments thereto, the New York State Constitution, the New York State Civil Service Law, section 891, etc., applicable collective bargaining agreements. So just to, right from the beginning, this is not a CRB that is circumventing any powers delegated under the charter as far as what's the word I'm looking for? Discipline. Okay. So the appointment of members, we did get heard your feedback previously before budgets. So consisting 7 volunteer members appointed by the mayor. Confirmed by a majority of the vote of the Common Council. That is the power as set in the charter. Applicants for a board position submit an application in an approved format, developed and approved by the mayor and the Common Council. Appointment of applicants shall be after an interview process. No individual will be appointed without an application. Membership of the board shall aspire to reflect the city's diversity, including but not limited to age, race, creed, national origin, gender identity, marital status, or source of income. Initial appointments and all subsequent terms will be 4-year appointments. No member of the CRB shall be a current City of Olean official or employee, or a direct family member of a current member of the Olean Police Department. To stand for appointment to the CRB, a prospective candidate has to be 18 years of age or older, required to have residency continuously in the City of Olean for the preceding 1 year. In the event of a vacancy of the board during the term of office of a member, successor shall be selected by the mayor, confirmed by a majority vote of the Common Council. Position will be filled as described in sections B1, B2, and B3. The successor shall serve the remaining term of the replaced member. Part 4, training is a mandatory requirement for membership on the Civilian Review Board. Comprehensive training protocols will be created by the CRB in conjunction with the City of Olean Police Department. With the approval of the mayor and Common Council, these standards of training will be provided to each board member prior to participating in the review of any police misconduct complaints. Powers and responsibilities of the CRB. The CRB members shall conduct themselves at all times in a manner that will maintain public confidence in the fairness, impartiality, and integrity of the CRB. Recuse themselves from participating in the review of any complaints in which they have personal, professional, or financial conflicts of interest. Procedures. The CRB shall hold monthly meetings, business meetings. All meetings are open to the public via electronic means. Minutes will be taken of actions of the board. 4 members of the CRB shall constitute a quorum. Quorum must be present to conduct business. 4 votes shall be required for any action by the CRB. CRB shall hold its initial meeting within 60 days after initial appointments are made. At its initial meeting, the CRB shall select a chairperson and a vice chairperson to fix the time and place of its regularly scheduled meetings. CRB shall hold an annual meeting in January of each year to select a chairperson and vice chairperson, conduct other such annual meetings as may be required. So the CRB shall conduct its public and closed meetings as permitted or required under New York State Public Officers Law, Article 7, known as the Open Meetings Law. CRB reports. CRB's first annual report shall be filed with the city within 13 months of its initial meeting, and subsequent annual report shall be filed every 12 months thereafter. So what is the authority of the board? The board will have the authority to formally comment in writing on the investigative materials and the action of the police, chief of police, by the chief of police. Notwithstanding the foregoing, in the event the police chief determines no discipline is warranted and clears an officer of any misconduct, the CRB may create a summary report of the investigation with the officer's name redacted and provide the summary comments to the mayor, chief of police, and the common council. If the chief of police determines to issue a notice of dismissal or other disciplinary action after the disciplinary process set forth in the applicable current collective bargaining agreement has concluded, the CRB may formally comment in writing on the investigation and subsequent action, and shall provide such comments to the police chief, the mayor, and the common council president. It is the intent of this paragraph to allow the CRB to comment on the complaint's investigation, compliance with the procedure, and subsequent outcome in order to accomplish the intent of this legislation to foster positive communication between the public and the police force. Again, where there being recommendations being made on any disciplinary matters whatsoever. The board shall review the complaint process and make recommendations to the police chief on how to best ensure that all citizens may file a complaint. Again, it's recommendations on how for citizens to file complaints, not anything relating to discipline. A key purpose of the board is to inform the public about the Civilian Review Board, its duties, and shall administer an ongoing program for the education of the public regarding provisions of this section. During public board meetings, the president shall present updates on the CRB's work, including information and statistics on the number and type of complaints received by the board. Minutes of each board meeting shall be taken and, upon approval, be made available to the public. Meetings considering current complaints shall be made subject to confidentiality, executive session, or attorney-client privilege. The board, as an administrative body of the city, has access to the city attorney. If the CRB has serious concerns that it cannot be remedied internally by the city attorney, police chief, or mayor, shall promptly inform the common council in writing of specific deficiency. In such event, the CRB may seek authorization from the common council to employ an outside independent advisor or legal consultant. The appropriation must take common council resolution and majority vote. Review of CRB policies and procedures. The CRB may refer policy recommendations to the chief of police, the mayor, and the city council, including any recommendations related to procedures, patterns, practices, and I would strike the disciplinary matters personally, but that's up for discussion. Tonight we're just kind of going through it, and then obviously we can have any other discussions, but I think the CRB needs to stay away from recommending specific disciplinary on individual cases. But this could, anyways, any recommendations or analysis shall be included in the CRB's annual report. The CRB's recommendations may address, but are not limited to, conduct and policies exhibiting bias against individuals based on race, gender, sexual orientation, perceived sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, and perceived disability, use of force, both lethal and non-lethal, de-escalation policies, vehicle and foot pursuits, use of canines, failure to acknowledge or accommodate the needs of the people with disabilities, including but not limited to physical disabilities, intellectual and developmental disabilities, psychiatric disabilities, traumatic brain injuries, and human rights issues. Within 30 days of receiving a formal CRB recommendation, the chief of police shall provide the CRB, the mayor, and the city council with a written explanation of why the chief of police agrees or disagrees with the policy recommendations. The chief of police shall provide a timeline to the CRB indicating implementation of each recommendation or an explanation of the determinations not to implement said recommendation. The CRB may make public whether its recommended policy recommendations have been implemented. And the CRB, upon a majority vote, may request specific OPD body camera footage in order to review active complaints and repetitive related previous complaints that may have policy implications, and such access shall be unreasonably withheld. Shall not be unreasonably withheld. So that is the version that is really tried to take as much input, again, on the advice of the labor attorney, Jason, and I'm just the note taker, but Jason and Vernon, we've met numerous times on this now, and it is ultimately open to input and recommendations from the Common Council, of course, the mayor, and so on. And I'm not expecting us to get through this tonight, but this is as close to the, I think, a finished draft as we've gotten thus far. So I will be quiet now and open it up to any initial comments, questions. Yes, Linda?
Let's see, review of the policies and procedures. I don't know where this would go, but there was an incident that was on TV about a gentleman that was pulled over and the license that matched the car, and he didn't speak English. Can we add in here something about language barrier? Only because, you know, this gentleman didn't speak English, he didn't understand a police officer, and he died.
Similes.
So I'm just curious where you would it be in here, under, I mean, it's not a disability. So that's why I'm just questioning the language barrier. That would be the only thing I see that we might wanna add somewhere. See what I'm saying, Vern?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at, that's the back, the review of the CRB policy procedures. I'm just trying to go through that one section there. To see where
It's next to the last page towards the bottom.
it's not a
number 2.
disability.
No.
Well, but I do see where that could be bias against individuals based on race. I mean, it could, I mean, I do think that you could add in there, some language and around language barriers.
Language barriers.
You know,
I mean, keep it
because
simple.
I think that is what I went around.
I mean, I wouldn't even thought of it if it hadn't been on TV and it showed the gentleman didn't understand, so I just don't know where it would fall.
That is a good one.
But other than that, I think it's pretty thorough.
I mean, you did this for the national origin should cover that, I would think. I mean, I'm not the verbal expert, but we had that in for the appointment of members, so maybe that should be added in to the policies and procedures. National origin.
Was there an extra copy somewhere of
Yeah.
that?
It was
There was one there.
over
Dave,
there
did you have 2
somewhere.
copies of it? Oh, Len's took it?
Yeah.
Len's, can I borrow that, please? I'm gonna just make some notes because my computer is acting goofy. Here.
Section H2, mentions something about language. Seems to be the place for that, although that list could
Right, that's the
go on and
section.
on. I mean,
Oh, I know,
realistically,
I
the
know,
proper term is anything.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
The proper term is anything for that whole thing, so I think
Or
we're,
you do like the military and just put that clause or anything we may have missed. Boom,
there we go.
then you're covered. I mean, that's just about in every union book too. Anything that was not mentioned is covered under this catch-all rule.
I'm fine with it. I think we've got, this feels like what this sort of thing should be in Olean to me. Get some people together and they can look at complaints if they're made against the police department.
Now, are we just waiting on our city attorney?
No.
Yeah, how about that?
I have some views that I've been kind of waiting. I just want to hear everyone's comments before I say anything, but I have a lot of thoughts and ideas running through my head, feedback wise. I'll just go ahead and say, so the recent email that we just received on a lawsuit against the city of Geneva, that came from Brockville.
No, it came from me.
Came from,
Yeah,
okay.
And I prefaced that saying, this is only informational, if it applies or does, so
Yep.
that's, okay? I just wanted you to be aware of it, so.
So I went through and I read through the first 5 pages of the 26 pages, and then I started, and this was just 2 hours before the meeting. So then what I found out in the court summary, so this came from New York State Court electronic filings, which I figured it's unlawful, first of all, for these documents to be made available to the public, so I assume someone requested it. And this document was dated 4/11, and then there are news articles out there on this issue for 4/12. And our agenda came out 4/7, so I'm just like, is this coincidental or just convenience? Page 2, if you go and look at that court summary, it lists in there the conflicts. They were being sued for the conflicts with the civil service law, Taylor law, and city charter. And that is not the case with this one that's proposed. There was an issue with the local law amending the charter. We're not amending the charter here. And then it violates disciplinary provisions of the CBA. And it explicitly says in here that everything will be done through the CBA and Taylor law and the city charter, and then the civilian board will comment from there. So there's nothing here that says that they will interfere with any decision making whatsoever, and that was the primary reason for this lawsuit. And then my personal thing here, throughout this whole entire thing, council has received nothing but biased opinions from all of the lawyers, including the city lawyer, of everything involved with the civilian rule board. And it's been contradictory, to say the least, and it's just been swelled up inside me. So I also want to remind everyone that the majority of the language in this proposal was from another city in New York that was equivalent in population and has had a CBA for years. It's not new. The mayor asked for that information from that city the last time we had a significant talk about this, and I sent him that information. Can't remember if I copied everyone else, but I remember sending it to him. I do have that email because I knew somehow it would be scrutinized in some type of way. And I expect, because the mayor is prior service police officer, I can understand his view. I can understand the police chief's view. I can even understand the attorneys, the union attorney's view, because this is their realm, their expertise. I get it. But when we have a city attorney, I would think that person will be fighting for the interests of the city, and that's where I kind of draw a line there. The cities that we had brought forward when we did this particular model was Newburgh, Ossining, Ithaca, and Schenectady. On the city of Newburgh's website, I went and copied this because I wanted you guys to know that they have a CRB in place, has been in place, they have not been sued, so obviously this is good. It says in here, Police Community Relations and Review Board. The Police Community Relations and Review Board is an independent, non-exclusive body to review complaints of misconduct by members of the City of Newburgh Police Department. The goals of the board and Chapter 72 of the City Code are to improve communications between the City of Newburgh Police Department and the community, increase police accountability and credibility to the public, and create a fair and impartial complaint process. In addition, the board provides a forum to exchange of ideas between members of the public, their representatives, and the police department. The board is a way to encourage open discussion of crime-related public safety or other quality of life issues in the city, and a mechanism for the public to request particular services and recommend legislation or other means to deal with their concerns. That's exactly what this does. So I'm not even gonna go through the rest, because I wrote that out of a motion, but I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna end it with this. I wanna paraphrase the councilwoman in Geneva, who commented after that court hearing. And I'm gonna add my own words to it, but she said, "We have worked in good faith to put together a fair and thoughtful process to bring more transparency and accountability, but I'm gonna add to the city of Olean. I personally believe we need to have this."
Anyone else? At this time? Okay.
I mean, I'll speak up because I've been involved in this, so I think I don't think you can reduce this any further.
No.
So there is no point to argue about anything and comment in that form anymore. This is as simple as this sort of thing can get. And to me, I say, we've been talking about it for like 2 years, and we do it. And if for some reason there is no interest, nobody wants to be on the board, and nobody wants to make any complaints, then we say goodbye to it. But it's time to roll it out, put it forward, and let it do what it's meant to do.
I agree. I have 2 people in my ward that wanna be on the board. I know one came to see Bill.
And and it's as simple, and maybe it evolves into something more. I hope that's what it does. By the interest of the public.
So I would say I'm in agreement. I think that, I think in listening, even before I got on the council, that the sense was, well, why do we need this in Olean? Before I was on the council, as I was running, the things I learned that I didn't maybe even want to know about some of the issues with one of the officers that used to be here and stopping people, and comments that that individual had made is, we think that it doesn't happen, and so individuals who fit into the majority of these categories probably think there's no need for it. And that is part of the reason why there is a need. Some people have the luxury of never worrying about their children when they go out. Some of us don't have that luxury, right? When my daughter went off to Buffalo, I said to her, listen, if you ever get stopped, this is what I want you to do. You need to do this, this, and this. And she's kind of like, oh, Mom. But there was a reason I told her that, and that's because I want her to come home to me safely, right? And I get that other people don't have to worry about that. So this is not to say that our police are not good officers or any of those other things, but this is to ensure the integrity stays there. And sometimes just knowing somebody is watching encourages people to maintain that integrity.
Well, but the other thing, me personally, I inflate my head pretty big, so I don't worry about much when I go out in the world. There's people that can't do that. A lot of people shouldn't be expected to do that, but, all you have to do is, I don't watch news, I don't watch TV, but if you do, all you'll see is police chief here did this, and the police have a position where it's different than if you got a problem with how you were treated at Walmart, right? Because they have a power that allows them to be slightly above the rest of us. And this kind of thing should be around for every police department to keep them in check. Doesn't matter where it is, how big it is, because the police have that power. And some people don't agree with that, but I do agree with that.
So I look at this in a similar way that we listened to the presentation earlier tonight about the importance of having opportunities for input from the community, and so this is another means for individuals to bring forward input and concerns from the community, and my job over the last how long have we been working on this now? Acting as a facilitator, because there's a lot of vested parties that love the city of Olean. And there's, someone who says this is absolutely needed and someone who says this absolutely is not needed. And it's been my job to try to navigate and find some middle ground, and I do believe that this proposal finds that middle ground. It's been my role to keep in mind, and specifically, Mayor, to ensure that we don't put ourselves in a position where we can be sued for it. We've tried to pay particular attention to the charter and to the rules vested to the police chief and the mayor's position under the charter, and to hold true to that. But additionally, initially, there was a view that this committee should serve as a recommendation committee, recommending on discipline, and even that has changed dramatically to saying, we just, this committee's job is to ensure that complaints are being heard, that they're being investigated, that there is just a watchdog that's being met. And as from a tax dollar perspective, I think that's the least we can do. And that's certainly what we owe our public. And I think in a lot of ways, and I hope it doesn't deter morale on our police force, I think we supported a pretty nice contract for them to demonstrate that we fully support them. And in the same way that them wearing body cams often protect them in situations, I think this will have the same effect. I really do. And so,
Yeah, I mean, if
I support this.
If actions come out of this committee that are that make the police not wanna do their job as well, not be able to protect, and uphold the laws, and there's something wrong, right? If anything comes out of this, it should be, aid the police department to know better where is the crime occurring, where do they need to be?
Well, and I'm sorry, I have to say, if even the most minimal level of any kind of accountability makes this officer or that officer not want to be an officer anymore, good, goodbye.
Bye.
Get the hell up, go down to Florida, like, that's completely okay with me, like this is not an invasive, is it? Am I wrong? Like, this is like, come
I
on,
think this is the basic
right.
that we can go to.
Like John said, this is the least we could do. This literally is the least we could do. Like, any less than this, we don't have a committee. So, cool, do it. Sorry. No, my 2 cents.
Okay.
Let's get it over with.
Anything else?
It's the bed.
Okay. Obviously, this is, email contact, but we will be bringing this forward for a vote. Tiffany, what's that process? It has to get published? Has to be brought forward as a PL?
Are we putting this in the code, or are we not?
Well, we'll have to talk to Jack and see what's the course of action there. I would assume the code.
Then PL next week, well, 2 weeks from that, so both 3 weeks.
We'll follow up with Jack. And I would assume that's the way to go, but. Okay. Seeing nothing else, I'll make a motion, approval of committee reports? No?
No.
All right, then I'll make a motion to adjourn. Can we get a second? Seconded by Alderman Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, you're adjourned.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump right into youth and rec. Let the record show that all members are present. The approval of last meeting, which was March 1st. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second? Robinson, all in favor? Aye. Unfinished business, we have none. New referrals for consideration. What I've been doing, and then we got sidetracked, because we had to do the budget, was just going through each ward and giving you an idea of what's there. Youth and rec is just about recreation and our youth. It's not about the parks. But what I wanted to do was just include some things. And Paul just got his packet tonight, and it just has information on each park. And I also gave everybody a map. You can take this with you, go tonight, Paul. But what it does, it just kind of shows you how much we really have in Olean. And so, for instance, tonight in your packet, the very top is the events going on in Olean. There's a handout on the river trail, which also talks about Olean. The other one, the blue one, is about the river trail, about, it mentions our launch places in Olean, again, everything about Olean. One of the other things I included in here is the squirrel map, and we were talking about it earlier, but it is a tourism attraction. People bring their kids here to take pictures with them and just kind of do like a scavenger hunt around town, so that's why
Did
I
Taste of
picked it
Olean,
up.
did Taste of Olean get canceled this year?
I don't think they're gonna do it because they didn't have enough staff last year. That's why it's
No,
canceled.
they canceled it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it was small last year, but it was because they didn't have staff. So Ward 3, and again, this won't take very long. There's several parks. Chamberlain Park, which is by Fulton and Adams Street, is 0.25 acres. It has a combo of new and old equipment. It's right at the end of the trail that comes through JCC. It's a very nice little park. Lincoln Park, they have one small gazebo, they have restrooms, they have the covered market area, they have a bistro building, and during the year they have numerous activities. I was really impressed with the Christmas program they put on last year with the horse-drawn buggy and stuff. Hundreds of people attended that, so that was wonderful. Manano Park is at the corner of York Street and Monroe Terrace. That's 1.28 acres. They have updated playground equipment. They also have a couple pieces of old equipment. They have a half of a basketball court, and they also have a backstop for anyone that wants to practice baseball or softball. In Ward 3, you also have the 4 Mile Brewery, which is at the corner of Green and South Berry Street. They have outdoor activities all through the summer. If you haven't been there, you should go, because they have tons of things going on. They have fire pits, they have games, they also have rentals. Someone was updating us on the rentals of the boats, and I think there's plans down the line, I'm not sure how soon, to do more with the other building, other than just the brewery itself. Another park is Franshot, which is at the corner of South Union and Franshot Boulevard. This park is 10.46 acres. It has one small gazebo, 2 large pavilions, a waiting pool, restrooms, basketball court. The equipment was updated in 2013. They have like little baseball fields at the far end by South 4th Street. It's the future site of the 9-hole disc golf course, and it has 3 off-street parking areas, and it's going to have a new entrance from Green Street. The boat launch is also located in Ward 3. It's on the West River Road. We did install more lighting down there. There is parking, and there's ADA ramp loading and unloading equipment. So that's what's in Ward 3.
What's an ADA, what does that mean? Oh, coming.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
coming.
like the thingy like that they have at,
Allegheny,
we're gonna do that there?
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
We
good.
talked about that.
That's what's funded, there's funding through the county to do that.
I thought the fire department didn't want that because they want to, once a year, they wanted to put their raft in the water.
Yeah, well, that's been,
We're working around it.
it's gonna be off,
Go to the other side.
it's going to be, yeah, it's gonna be, there, there's a whole project going on there. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
gonna be
coming.
able to launch their boat.
A good question. Okay, on to Ward 4, because I don't want to keep you any longer than I have to. Oak Hill Park is located at North 4th and Washington Street. It's 5.55 acres. Right now, there are going to be 2 tennis courts. There's a half basketball court, but with all the new projects from the DRI, that's going to grow. The playground equipment was replaced either in 2011 or 2012. And what they did is they put in equipment that kind of reflected the trees up there, so it was very nice. And there's a lot more coming to Oak Hill Park. Also in Ward 4 is the Olean Middle School, which is on Main Street. They do have updated playground equipment. And the Olean High School, which is on Sullivan Street between 4th and 3rd. Back to the middle school, they have a softball field, which the girls use. They have a baseball field, which the school uses. They have 3 tennis courts, they have a track, they have a soccer field, and they also use the softball and baseball field for football practice. Then also, JCC is located in Ward 4. They have several festivals throughout the year. One of their largest is the Corporate Challenge, and I know one year they had over 700 people participate in it. And it drew a lot of people into downtown and brought a lot of revenue in. A lot of folks went out to dinner after that, so it was really something that helped Olean. In Ward 4, you also have the Whitney Parquet. And a couple of people have suggested that we put benches in there for people that are walking uptown. It's a great place to just sit and have a cup of coffee and visit.
Where is that?
It's at the corner, you know, the railroad tracks, the Mexican restaurant at the end of the street. It's that little park. I'll take you there.
Oh, those 2 little pieces of equipment, it has a tire looking thing there.
And, ping-pong table. Yep.
Right near the tracks.
Yeah, right by the track.
Safely.
Yes, there is a fence. Okay, down on Delaware Avenue is where Gus Macker is held in Ward 4. Again, lots of people come, they stay in our Hampton Inns. Now that we have a new one, that'll be full. You know, they spend money here in the city, so it brings in revenue. The other thing that's located in Ward 4 is the John S. Community Center. They have the junior and senior league, the coasters. They do bus trips. For instance, Terry gave me a couple examples. They did a bus trip just recently, March 24th, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're going in, they did in May and March. They went to the Broadway Market and the Buffalo Creek Casino. They're going in May to the Lilac Festival in Genesee County. And also in June, they're going to a Bison's game. They have lots of activities going on at the center. They have dinner theater. This year it's Dealt a Deadly Hand. It's put on by a theater group. They also have ice bocce, which they just finished their tournament over there. They have pickleball, cornhole, darts, line dancing, tai chi. They have laser golf. They also do tax preparation for seniors that can come, since they just do a simple form. They help them with that. And there's a lot more activities that people realize going on at the senior center. So I just wanted to share some of that with you. So next time, in 2 weeks, I'll do 5, 6, and 7 all together, because 3 and 4 kind of have the bulk of the activity, but there's still things going on in the other wards. So just to update you. I'll take it.
Check it out.
Now you know.
You can let
I
me hear
just
later.
thought they belonged to that apartment building, like honestly, because like I went to the apartment building and talked to people and stuff. I was like, oh look, they have equipment for their kids. Who knew?
So I just
Nobody
wanted
reads
to
the
hand
Times Herald.
I know.
I do.
See, I think we should close down Whitney Avenue and turn that entire thing into a
Wouldn't it be an outdoor?
downtown
Oh,
recreation facility. A pedestrian zone.
Put a fireplace and everything down there. seating.
Pedestrian zone.
That could be in our,
We could get a hold of that apartment.
next long range plan.
Comprehensive.
Yeah,
Comprehensive
exactly.
plan.
Yeah, yeah. And when you do a comprehensive plan, like Chief Richardson was pointing out, that you get points towards grants.
I gotta see if that,
Each thing you do, you get points.
I gotta see if that Jaeger report is, I remember that, I gotta see if that's still around here somewhere. So,
Okay.
they
What's that?
recommended, the Jaeger report, they recommended, like you said, they recommended 3 fire halls. And, you
And,
know,
well, they should still have that report, or that plan they did to have more.
Sponsored by the Firefighters Unions of America.
Well, it's kind of like if you let lawyers recommend, legal stuff.
Right, right.
Right. So that's all I have for you on Youth and Rec. Does anybody have any questions?
They say New York State laws
No.
are written by lawyers. So it takes 7 months to close on a house. So. Anyways, I'm sorry, did you make a motion?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Oh.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See, I didn't keep you long enough.
There you go.
I'm not even on it.
All let's go back to capital, no, I'm good, I'm pretty familiar with that.
Mayor.
Mayor Linda just named all of your